Hello and welcome back. Come in quickly, out of the rain and the noise of the street and everything the city asked of you today. Tonight, the sky over the old quarter has a great deal to say. Heavy rain, loud rolling thunder, the whole city wrapped in one deep resonant sound. But you are heading somewhere entirely your own, a small attic room above an old bakery, tucked beneath a slanted roof that has kept 2 centuries of tenants warm and dry through storms exactly like this one. You do not need to remember anything. You do not need to follow anything closely. You only need to breathe. In and out. In and out. Rest is not something you earn, it's already yours. Let's begin. The street below your building is narrow and cobbled, lined with tall, leaning townhouses that seem to draw closer together at the top floors, as though sharing secrets above the heads of everyone hurrying past below. Imagine you are walking it now, your umbrella tilted against the wind, street lamps glowing amber through the rain, their light scattering into 100 small rippling reflections across the wet stone. Gently, somewhere above the rooftops, thunder rolls, loud and full, rumbling between the tall buildings the way it never quite can in open countryside, the whole narrow street seeming to hold the sound for a moment, letting it roll from wall to wall before finally releasing it upward into the wider sky. It is loud, undeniably, but here, cushioned by centuries-old stone on every side, it feels almost theatrical rather than threatening, the city itself putting on a show entirely for its own quiet enjoyment. A few last shopkeepers pull down their shutters for the night. The old bookshop on the corner, the little shop that sells nothing but buttons and ribbon, each one closing up methodically, unhurried despite the rain, the way people do in a city that has weathered 10,000 storms exactly like this one. Somewhere nearby, a church bell tolls the hour, its sound rolling out over the rooftops and blending for just a moment with the fading echo of the thunder. A tram rattles past at the far end of the street, its windows glowing warm and yellow, carrying its last few passengers home through the rain, before disappearing around a corner and leaving the street to its own quiet, storm-soaked evening. Beneath a wide awning, 2 strangers wait out the worst of a passing downpour together, sharing the particular easy camaraderie that rain always seems to create between people who would otherwise never have spoken at all, their quiet conversation drifting, indistinct, into the general hush of the storm. The gutters run high along the cobblestones, carrying the evening's rain toward drains that have managed this same narrow street for as long as anyone can remember, the water catching street lamp light in long, rippling gold streaks before disappearing beneath the pavement on its own patient journey toward the river and eventually the sea. You reach your own building at last, its dark green door tucked between the shuttered bookshop and a narrow bakery, closed now for the night, though the warm smell of tomorrow's bread already drifts faintly from its vents into the wet evening air. You are almost there. Thoughtfully, the door to your building is heavy, old oak, its brass handle worn smooth and dark by generations of hands before yours. It opens with a familiar low creak, and you step into the small entryway, shaking the rain from your umbrella before starting up the narrow staircase that spirals toward the top of the building. The stairs are steep and old, each one creaking its own particular note underfoot, a sound so familiar to you now that you barely notice it anymore. 5 flights up, past the closed doors of neighbors you know mostly by the small sounds of their evenings, a radio playing faintly here, the smell of dinner there, until you reach your own door at the very top, tucked beneath the steeply sloped roof of the building, exactly where it has always been, exactly where you left it that morning, patient and waiting through your entire long day out in the city. You step inside and close it behind you, and the sound of the storm softens immediately. The rain now a steady patter against your sloped skylight, rather than a wide open roar filling the whole street. You are inside now. You are safe. You are warm. Your attic room is small, but entirely your own. A narrow bed hucked beneath the lowest part of the sloped ceiling, a single armchair by the radiator, already ticking warm, a small kitchenette along one wall, and shelves of books lining every available inch of space that isn't taken up by the room's great asset, a wide skylight, angled just right to frame the storm-heavy sky directly above your bed, exactly the reason you chose this particular room over every other one you viewed.
You've been carrying a lot lately, haven't you? Tonight, you don't have to carry any of it. You can let go now. There's nothing left to hold. You shrug off your damp coat, hang it by the door, and cross to the small kitchenette, filling the kettle and setting it on to boil. While you wait, you light the single lamp beside your armchair, its warm glow filling the small room with soft amber light, chasing the last of the grey evening entirely out of the corners. From below, muffled by the floor and the years, you can just make out the faint, comfortable sounds of the building settling in for the night. A door closing somewhere, a kettle whistle 2 floors down, the particular hush of an old building that has learned over centuries exactly how to hold its many small separate lives comfortably apart, while still somehow keeping everyone within it a little less alone, floor by floor, storm by storm. The kettle whistles, and you pour yourself a cup of tea, wrapping both hands around it as you settle into the armchair by the radiator. You take a slow sip. It tastes like the end of a long day, like a room that is entirely dependably yours, like the particular comfort of being exactly where you choose to be while something loud and enormous happens just beyond the glass, utterly unable to reach you. Your eyes drift, unhurried, across the small collection of things you've gathered here over the months, a few photographs pinned above your desk, faces of people who matter to you, smiling out from moments you remember fondly even now, a small stack of postcards from places you visited or places you still mean to, the particular, specific clutter of a life being lived deliberately, one small choice at a time, in exactly the space you chose for yourself. There is something quietly satisfying in a room built entirely around your own preferences, the books arranged exactly how you like them, the blanket folded exactly where your hand expects to find it, the particular angle of lamplight you settled on, after some trial and error, as the most comfortable for reading on evenings just like this one, storm outside or not. There is nothing elaborate about this evening, just simple, warm comfort made from whatever your own quiet life here has gathered around you, prepared with the same unhurried patience this old building has always seemed to encourage in everyone who settles within its walls. This room has become, in its own small way, an honest record of who you are right now, this year, in this particular season of your life. Tonight, it simply holds you, the way it always does, while something loud and temporary happens outside its sturdy walls. Above the steady patter of rain on your skylight, thunder rolls again, loud and resonant, rolling between the buildings outside in a long, echoing wave before finally fading into the wider night sky. Even at its loudest, up here beneath your own sturdy roof, it never once feels sharp, simply large and full and entirely unable to trouble the small, warm world of your attic room. You've done enough today, more than enough. Rest is not something you earn, it's already yours. Let me tell you a little about this building as the rain patters steadily above us and the radiator keeps us warm. It has stood on this corner for nearly 200 years, built originally as a merchant's townhouse, later divided floor by floor into the small separate apartments it holds today, including this attic room, which was once simply storage space, before someone decades ago realized how good the light was up here and how well the steep roof kept out even the heaviest city storms. The original merchant, records suggest, dealt mostly in imported cloth and spice, storing his most valuable goods in the very attic that later became your room, precisely because its steep roof and thick walls kept everything inside reliably dry, no matter what storms rolled through the harbour district below. He chose this corner specifically, Old City Records note, for the same reason you likely feel so safe here now. The building sits slightly higher than its neighbours, on ground firm enough that flooding rarely troubled it, even during the city's worst historical storms. Generations after him turned his storerooms into homes, his warehouse into a place where ordinary lives could unfold, one quiet evening at a time. There is something fitting, perhaps, in a room once built to protect valuable cloth and spice from the rain, now protecting something else entirely, simply you, resting on an ordinary Tuesday evening 2 centuries later. The building's superintendent, a warm, weathered woman named Mrs. Alden, who lives on the ground floor for nearly 40 years, likes to say the whole building has a personality of its own by now, stubborn in some ways, generous in others, but reliably, dependably solid, no matter what the sky decides to throw at it. She says she's weathered more storms in this building than she could ever count, and never once felt anything but safe within these old stone walls. She moved in as a young woman decades ago and raised her own children in the very same ground floor rooms she occupies now, watching tenant after tenant pass through the building's 5 floors, each one leaving some small mark behind. A favorite tile someone painted in the entryway, a climbing rose someone planted by the back door, still blooming faithfully every summer, long after the tenant who planted it moved on to somewhere else entirely. She keeps a small logbook of her own, not unlike a lighthouse keeper's, noting each significant storm the building has weathered over her 40 decades here, not out of any real necessity, but simply because she finds it satisfying to track, in her own quiet way, just how much this old building has endured, and how completely it has always come through. She taught you, not long after you first moved in, the same small trick her own mother taught her, growing up in a building not so different from this one. Whenever the thunder rolls loud enough to notice, simply count the seconds until you hear it, and note how the sound changes as it rolls between the buildings, growing fuller, richer, more resonant than it ever could in open countryside.
Would you like to try it the next time the sky lights up? She said the city itself seems to enjoy loud thunder in its own particular way. Narrow streets and tall buildings, turning every storm into something almost musical, each rumble bouncing from wall to wall before finally spilling upward into the open sky above the rooftops. A storm in the country simply passes through, she says. A storm in the city performs. There, did you see it? A soft flash of light beyond your skylight, brightening the room for just a moment, throwing brief shadows from your bookshelves across the sloped ceiling. Now, count slowly with me, if you like. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there, the thunder arrives, loud and rolling, echoing once, twice, 3 times between the buildings outside, before finally fading upward into the wider sky. 4 seconds and 3 good echoes. Mrs. Alden would call that a proper city storm, loud enough to notice, familiar enough to enjoy. 2 floors below, in the little bakery that gives your whole building its faint, permanent smell of bread, the baker, a kind, quiet man everyone simply calls Marcus, is already up and working, preparing the dough that will become tomorrow's first loaves. He works through storms like this one every single night, he says, because the ovens need exactly this many hours to warm properly, storm or no storm, and because there's something he genuinely loves about kneading bread while the whole sky rumbles loudly just outside his small, warm kitchen. He says the loudest storms make the best bread somehow, not for any real scientific reason he could ever properly explain, but because he finds himself kneading a little more attentively, a little more patiently, when the thunder outside reminds him just how much he appreciates his own small, warm, dependable corner of the world. Marcus took over the bakery from his own mother, who took it over from hers. 3 generations of the same ovens, the same recipes, the same particular way of testing whether the dough has risen enough by pressing 2 fingers gently into its surface and watching how slowly it springs back. He says he's baked through hurricanes, blizzards, and every kind of storm in between, and the bread, somehow, always turns out exactly as it should, storm or no storm. By morning, the whole building will smell of his fresh bread, drifting up through the old floorboards and stairwell, the way it has every morning for decades, a small, dependable comfort that has greeted generations of tenants exactly as they woke, whether they slept through a quiet night or a genuinely loud one like tonight's. Perhaps that is worth remembering tonight, too. Loud, large things happening outside your walls don't have to disrupt the small, careful work of your own life. They can simply happen alongside it, their noise and your peace existing comfortably, side by side, exactly the way Marcus's bread and tonight's thunder are managing right now, 2 floors below you. A soft, familiar scratching sounds at your door, and you rise to open it, letting in a sleek grey cat who belongs officially to no one in the building, but who has long since adopted every resident as equally, casually hers. She slips past your legs and leaps onto the armchair, curling immediately into a warm, compact circle, entirely unbothered by the loud rolls of thunder still rumbling outside. The other tenants call her Rue, after the narrow little street outside, though no one quite remembers who named her first. She simply appears at whichever door happens to be open on any given evening, and stays exactly as long as she pleases, offering her quiet, undemanding company to whoever needs it most that particular night.
Tonight, apparently, that's you. She doesn't ask anything of you beyond a little space on the chair, and perhaps later a little of your warmth. There is something quietly touching in an animal who moves so freely between so many separate, solitary lives, gathering them all, in her own small way, into something that feels a little more like a shared home. The tenant on the third floor swears Rue somehow knows exactly which nights people most need company, appearing at their doors during precisely the evenings they'd otherwise have spent entirely alone. No one has ever quite figured out how she manages it, or whether it's simply coincidence, but most of the building has stopped questioning it and started simply welcoming her whenever she chooses to visit. She stretches once luxuriously in the armchair beside you, then resettles into an even more compact circle, one ear twitching occasionally at the loudest rolls of thunder, though she never once seems genuinely troubled by any of it. She has weathered enough of these storms herself, tucked into enough warm laps across enough different floors of this old building, to know with complete confidence that they never amount to anything worth losing sleep over. You settle back into the armchair beside her, and she shifts just slightly to make room, resting one paw lightly against your leg. Above you, the skylight frames the storm directly overhead, heavy clouds moving fast against a sky occasionally split by soft, distant lightning, the rain drumming steadily against the glass in one long, continuous rhythm, the whole small room glowing warm and amber against the enormous storm-tossed dark just beyond it. A narrow ladder in the corner of your room leads up to a small sleeping loft, tucked directly beneath the highest point of the roof, where the sound of the rain is closest and, you've always thought, most soothing of all. If you like, imagine climbing it now, slowly, Rue following easily behind you, already familiar with this particular route. At the top, the loft is small and warm, just tall enough to sit up in, with the same wide skylight continuing overhead, framing the storm directly above your bed. The mattress here is simple but deep, piled with the same soft quilts you chose yourself months ago, specifically for nights exactly like this one. You climb in slowly and pull the quilts up around you, and Rue settles immediately into the curve behind your knees, already beginning to purr, low and steady, a small warm engine of contentment entirely her own. Above you, close now, the rain drums steadily against the skylight, heavy and full, and entirely unbothered by anything at all. Exactly the sound you fell asleep to on countless other ordinary nights before this particularly loud one. Through the glass, you can watch the clouds moving fast against the deepening dark, occasionally split by a soft flash of lightning, followed a few seconds later by another loud rolling boom of thunder echoing between the surrounding rooftops before finally fading into the wider night. Beyond your own skylight, if you look carefully across the sea of steep rooftops and chimney pots, you can just make out another small light glowing warm through a neighboring attic window several buildings over, another tenant in another old building riding out this same loud storm in their own small particular way. You'll likely never know who lives there, and yet there is something quietly companionable in simply knowing they're there too. Another small, warm room scattered somewhere across this same storm-soaked city. Another sturdy roof holding steady against the same generous rain. Let your own breathing find that same slow, unhurried rhythm. In as the thunder arrives, out as it fades. In as it arrives, out as it fades. A little while later, another loud roll of thunder reaches you, and you find yourself counting again, slower this time, more from habit than need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Further away now, its echoes softer, fewer, the storm continuing its own slow journey across the rooftops, spreading its rain evenly across 100 other narrow streets much like this one, each with its own building, its own tenants, its own particular way of weathering the night. Somewhere below, you can just make out the faint, comfortable sounds of the building around you, a door closing gently, water running briefly in someone's kitchen, the radiator ticking its own small, steady rhythm throughout every wall, a floorboard settling somewhere above the second floor, a sound so familiar by now you could probably identify exactly which neighbor's footstep it was if you cared to try. You are alone in your own small room tonight, but never entirely alone in this old, generous building, every floor holding its own quiet evening, every resident weathering the very same storm, each in their own particular way.
From somewhere on the third floor, faint enough to almost mistake for imagination, you can just make out the sound of a violin playing something slow and unhurried, pausing occasionally, then continuing, the particular rhythm of someone practicing alone, unconcerned with anyone listening. You've never met that particular neighbor, not properly, though you've caught this same faint melody drifting up through the old floorboards on other quiet evenings. Always slow, always unhurried, always oddly perfect company for a storm like this one. The music pauses during the loudest rolls of thunder, then resumes once the sound fades, as though even the violinist has learned over time to simply wait out the loudest moments rather than compete with them. There is something instructive in that too, knowing exactly when to pause and exactly when it's safe to continue. Perhaps you have felt entirely alone yourself in a city full of people on certain nights. If so, know that you too are held tonight in your own quiet way by walls that have sheltered 2 centuries of tenants exactly like you, by a cat who chose your door specifically tonight, by a baker 2 floors below, working patiently through the very same storm. Mrs. Alden, somewhere below, has likely already settled in for the night herself, content, as she is always in her own small ground floor rooms, listening to her old building sing its familiar rumbling storm song, exactly as it has every loud summer storm of her 40 years here. Rest is not something you earn. It's already yours. It was always yours. It will be waiting for you again, the next time you need it, and the time after that, and every time after that. Your body feels heavy now, sinking into the soft quilts, the steady drum of rain on the skylight, blending with the slow, loud, occasional roll of thunder, further away now with each passing minute. There is nothing more you need to hear. There is nothing more you need to imagine. I will stay here with you a while longer, speaking softly, so you do not need to listen closely anymore. Just let my voice fade into the rhythm of the rain, like thunder fades into echo, like everything else in this small attic room that exists simply to keep you warm and safe through the night. Downstairs, Marcus slides the first tray of the night into his old brick oven, the warm smell already beginning its slow climb up through the building's floorboards. Mrs. Alden's ground floor lamp has gone dark, her own long day finally gently complete. The bookshop and ribbon shop remain shuttered against the rain, their proprietors home in their own separate corners of this same generous storm. Your radiator continues its own small, steady tick, filling the room with dependable warmth, exactly as it has every stormy night since you first moved in. The lamp beside your armchair still glows softly downstairs, in the room you've already left behind for the night, its light patient, waiting for tomorrow evening's return. Slowly, gradually, the storm begins to ease, not stopping, not yet, but softening, the loud rolling thunder growing further and further between each roll, its echoes fewer now, softer, more like distant applause than the enormous room-shaking booms of an hour ago. The rain continues steadily, heavy and generous, exactly the kind made for the deepest, most complete kind of city sleep. Somewhere below, the violin has fallen quiet at last, its owner likely settling in for their own night's rest, the last slow notes still lingering faintly in your memory even after the sound itself has stopped. The tram tracks outside sit empty and glistening under the street lamps, waiting for morning's first commuters. The whole street, the whole building, the whole quiet corner of the old city seems to exhale together, settling gradually into the softer, steadier rhythm of a storm winding down towards simple, generous rain. If your thoughts drift now, let them drift slowly, the way the street lamp light drifted across the wet cobblestones earlier tonight, softened, scattered, entirely unhurried. If your thoughts settle on something, let them settle softly, the way Rue settled behind your knees, warm and welcome, and entirely at ease. You do not need to hold on to anything tonight. You do not need to let go of anything either. You may simply rest exactly as you are, exactly where you are, held steady by walls that have weathered 2 centuries of exactly this kind of loud, generous storm, and will easily weather this one too.
Marcus's ovens continue their patient work 2 floors below, tomorrow's bread rising slowly in the warm dark. Mrs. Alden's radio has gone quiet for the night, her small logbook resting closed on her table. One more storm soon to be added to 4 decades of careful, satisfied record-keeping. Rue's purring has softened into the slow, even breathing of deep sleep, her paw still resting lightly against your leg. The photographs above your desk keep their same quiet watch, faces of people who matter to you, patient until morning. The postcards from places visited and places still dreamed of wait exactly where you left them. Every floor of this old building, every resident within it, has settled into the very same deep, unhurried calm. In, out, in, out. Somewhere behind you now, far below, through the driving rain, the narrow cobbled street still glistens beneath its scattered street lamps, the bookshop and the ribbon shop still shuttered for the night, the church bell somewhere nearby still holding its silence until the next hour arrives. The old oak door of your building still waits there too, its brass handle worn smooth by generations of hands, ready the way it always is for the next quiet evening when you need somewhere warm and sturdy to weather a storm. The last tram of the night has long since carried its final passengers home. its windows dark now, resting somewhere in a depot until morning. The two strangers who sheltered together beneath the awning have gone their separate ways, the small, easy camaraderie of the rain already fading into ordinary evening memory. Mrs. Alden's climbing rose, planted by some long-departed tenant years ago, still grows steadily by the back door, patient beneath tonight's rain, exactly as it does every summer, storm after storm after storm. The narrow staircase still spirals up through the building's quiet floors, each step still holding its own familiar creak. Your small attic room will be there again too whenever you need it. Skylight and armchair and radiator, all exactly where you left them. Patient, unhurried, ready to hold steady around you for as long as you need it, any stormy night you need it. Tenderly, rest is not something you earn, it's already yours. The rain remembers this roof, the thunder remembers this street, the whole old city remembers every storm that came before this one, each one adding its own small chapter to 2 centuries of quiet, generous nights just like this. And you may finally rest completely, the way this whole old building rests every night, storm or no storm, floor by floor, one quiet tenant at a time. Good night.